Hey everyone, Gil here at GrayManPrepping. On today's episode of Your Prep for Today, I want to talk to you about gasoline and diesel treatment and storage. But first, I'd like to remind everyone, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe, it's now a good time to ring the subscribe button down here and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you get notified every time I post one of these videos. Alrighty, so gasoline and diesel treatment. One of the things that people think you have to treat diesel and gasoline for is for just long-term storage. When they're thinking long-term storage, they're thinking, 3 or 4 years. Well, actually anything more than a year should be treated for gasoline and diesel, especially if you are in the northern climates where the temperatures freeze for diesel, because diesel will gel up and when it gets to a certain temperature. And if you happen to have a diesel truck or a diesel farm tractor, the fuel in the tanks will gel up and in the fuel lines and in the injector pumps and in the injectors themselves, and you'll have one big mess and it won't want to start. So there are several things to do as far as treatment. There is specifically a winterizer treatment you can add to diesel so that it doesn't gel up. You also have just a long-term storage treatments you can add with both gasoline and diesel. And there's also an anti-algae growth treatment you can add to diesel as well. One of the other things that people don't think about is the storage containers. And most people usually have their stuff stored in 5-gallon plastic jugs or whatever, or if they are a little bit more, that's what I'm thinking about, conscientious about it, they'll get the fireproof or fire safety metal cans with a metal clamping lid on it. So, it protects, the gasoline from vapors, explosions and stuff. But generally for diesel, they don't put it in the metal cans anymore since, these plastic ones are so much cheaper. Well, I'm going to postulate a theory here. This is theory according to me based on some other scientific facts dealing with water in plastic containers. And what that is that when a plastic container is sitting on concrete with water in it, it does absorb certain chemicals out of the concrete through the plastic into the water. Calcium and lime and bits of the Portland cement in there, and basically it taints the water. Well, no one's really done a study on whether or not that happens with gasoline or diesel, and seeing how they have a similar ionic charge to them. I'm going to postulate that there's a possibility if you have your gasoline or your diesel cans sitting on concrete directly, that they could, over the long term, slowly draw out chemicals, just like water does, out of the concrete, through the plastic, into the container, the liquid in the container, whether it's diesel or gasoline. Whether that's true or not, no, I'm just thinking about it. I don't know. That's just me making a theory based on some other facts. Of course, it's probably a better theory with more factual basis than global warming, but that's another story. Anyways, so you may want to store your containers of gasoline up off of the concrete. Now, also, I do know for a fact that on the metal containers, that when that on the metal containers, when the paint gets chipped off the bottom and that bare metal comes in contact with the cement, it seems to rust a lot quicker. So another reason to store your containers is they're metal up on plywood or on a pallet somewhere above the concrete. All right. Also, it's a good idea not to store the concrete in the garage because there's can be lots of problems with that. In garages, a lot of houses where it's an attached garage, The water heater is in the garage. And what does the water heater have on it? It has a pilot light in there that's going 24/7. And if the gasoline containers and diesel containers off gas and you get vapors on the floor and the vapors build up to the point where they reach that flame, you could have a life-ruining day. So store them in an out shed, a wooden shed, plastic shed, whatever, a shed away from the house where it's protected from the weather and there's no flame source in there that could set off vapors. All right. And remember to have plenty enough gasoline to run your generator for at least, I would say at least 10 days, but not constantly. You don't want to run your generators constantly, and that's another story, but you just run it just enough to run your, to get your freezers and refrigerators cold again. You can shut it off for a couple hours, turn it back on for a little bit, and turn it off. So you're not running your generators constantly, but you want to have enough to run it that way for at least 10 days. And as always, stay happy no matter what life throws at you. Stay safe, don't do anything foolish, and most importantly, keep on prepping. All right? And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.